We are getting this breaking news. U.S. Secretary of State Anthony Blinken departing for Israel within just the last half hour. You see that on your screen as the country says it's formed an emergency unity government between Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and the leader of the opposition party. This alliance comes as Israel continues to pound Gaza to root out Hamas after the Palestinian terrorist group killed hundreds and hundreds of Israeli civilians and foreign nationals, including, and it's been confirmed, 22 U.S. citizens. 17 Americans are still unaccounted for. Israel is also fortifying and stocking up its hospitals as it anticipates an escalation in the violence. More than 300,000 reservists have stepped up to fight ahead of an expected ground offensive. The war could have an overarching impact on Israel's economy, and of major concern for the country known as Startup Nation is what the fighting means for the plethora of blossoming tech companies there. Uri Levine created one of them. He's an Israeli tech entrepreneur and the genius behind mapping app Waze, which he sold to Google in 2013 for more than $1 billion. Uri also served with the IDF as a developer for 5 years. He joins us now, first on Fox Business. Uri, I just need to ask you right off the bat, Israel is executing what appears to be the swiftest, largest mobilization in the entire history of this country on the border of Gaza. When would you expect to see that offensive begin, where they fight back against the terrorists?
So, I would start with realizing the order of magnitude of these massacres, right? So 900 people were murdered, slaughtered. They burned bodies. They decapitated people, right? So dead bodies, they decapitated them. This is terrible. This is, I never seen something like that. This is way beyond just terror. This is someone that really wants you dead. Now, let me put into proportion, what does 900 people mean in Israel? And Israel is a small place. 900 people, when you take the population of Israel and compare that to maybe the population of the US, that means like 30,000 people. This is 10 times bigger than 9/11. This is how bad it is. Everyone knows someone that was murdered or injured or kidnapped. And this is terrible.
Yes.
And for a second, I would ask you, what would you do if there will be, terror attack on the US with 30,000 casualties?
Fight back. Fight back, do exactly what Israel has done. That's why it's called the Defense Forces. So we understand that. But when do you suspect that we might see that offensive begin?
So right now, there are still, people that were kidnapped, and we would like to try to figure out what to do with them before a massive attack is going to start.
Right.
But at the end of the day, I've heard American told me the term that it's the first time that I heard that, parking lot. And look, at the end of the day, they will come after you when they're done with us. This is not something that we can actually have in this world.
They came after us on 9/11. The same people who hate Israel.
It's not the same group, but it's
Right,
the same thing,
of course.
right? At the end of the day, they don't want anything else besides to kill us.
The Startup Nation moniker that Israel has is well-deserved. It's unbelievable how many technology startups have sprouted from the Israeli soil. And people do wonder now, with everybody being called up, all the reservists, and by the way, it's required to serve in the Israeli military for 3 years after high school. What is that going to do to the economy and to these companies who are now finding many of their employees, especially the younger ones who work at startups, have been called up to fight?
So hard time makes strong people. Strong people creates good times, right? And at the end of the day, this is a hard time. End of the day, this is going to be way stronger. The strength of Israel is in its people. And you can see today that a lot of Israelis are either going into military reserve or helping whatever they can do. Part of it is in technology. Part of it is actually helping, the injured, helping the families, helping everyone that was hurt. And this is the strength of Israel. The people are eventually going to make way better future for Israel. And when you look at the past,
yeah.
crisis is also an opportunity. Unfortunately, this is huge crisis, but I
Huge.
think that it will end up with a way stronger Israel than before.
Well, they were attacked in 1948, 1967. The wars go on, they're surrounded, but they always seem to hold up and prevail. Really quickly, because we do have to go, but the news site Globes is reporting that PayPal has set up special operations in Israel. They already had 300 people there, but to identify and block links to Gaza fundraising organizations that are trying to get through social media. How crucial is it for social media, whether it's Twitter or Instagram or TikTok, to shut this down?
End of the day, I don't think that the social network can actually shut down any activities, because the essence of them is that they're open. And censorship is not going to work, because they will find different ways to bypass it. I think that this time it's not about the media or the social media. This is about war.
Uri Levine, founder of Waze, our hearts go out to you, your family, and all the people you know who are affected by this. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And by the way, we want to let all of you know that Fox Corporation has made a $1 million donation to the UJA, that's the United Jewish Appeal, as they mobilize to provide urgent relief to those impacted by the atrocities in Israel. To make a donation of your own, see that QR code right there? Just hold your phone up. We'll keep it up for a second here. You can scan it, or you can go directly to the UJA website. That's UJAFED, FEDNY.org. We are coming right back. Stay with us.